My fellow Americans, tonight, with a heart full of gratitude and boundless optimism, I profoundly accept this nomination for President of the United States. Joe Biden is not a savior of America's soul. He is the destroyer of America's jobs. So tonight I say to all Americans, this is the most important election in the history of our country.
Well, I think that President Trump was trying to cover a lot of ground in his speech last night, focusing on a number of issues that matter to his base, both trying to discredit the Democratic nominee Joe Biden, while also highlighting, his law and order platform in particular, which I think is really important amidst all of the protests that are going on in the wake of the shooting of Jacob Blake. And so President Trump's speech, I think, really highlighted something similar to what we saw in the Democratic convention as well, that in our country right now, with everything so polarized, there are really two Americas and 2 points of view. And to me, President Trump was really trying to communicate to his base about how great, to use his word, he's made the country in the past 4 years.
You know, I think it was very clear from the speech and from the convention that they are attempting to string together a very different coalition than he won with in 2016. We saw a very overt play at Black men, but also, an attempt to draw in the white women, suburban white women that have been kind of splintering away from Trump and veering more towards Democrats. And I think we saw an attempt to stream those two oftentimes conflicting strategies together. I think that, it's very clear that Republicans understand that Donald Trump's winning coalition requires him to win a few more Black men votes, or for Joe Biden to win a few less Black men's votes. Either way is a win for them. And I think we saw him trying to do both of those. I actually think that the Republicans had an extremely well-produced TV show over the course of this week. I think they actually did a pretty good job of speaking to this expansion coalition, this men of color that they're trying to draw into their coalition. We have seen, and polling has shown, some efficacy in this approach, that men of color are responding to Trump in a unique way, where in places like Wisconsin, we've seen Donald Trump's approval rating as high as 22% amongst Black men. If Donald Trump can get half of that 22% to vote for him in Wisconsin, then he could change the outcome of this race. But on the other hand, we saw him reach out very, very directly to suburban white women with this mandate to restore law and order in America. The problem there, the strategy is clear for Republicans, that they have to shock and awe suburban white women back into their coalition. But the problem there is that the outcome is unclear, because crime and lawlessness are just not top priorities. They're not top issues for the white women that he's targeting here. These women are overwhelmingly concerned about COVID-19, overwhelmingly concerned about the economy. And to Republicans' dismay, these suburban white women are overwhelmingly concerned about racism And so we did see an attempt to create a permission structure through speakers like Jack Brewer, the NFL player from the Eagles, speakers like Tim Scott and Vernon Jones, Black men who declared the values of inclusion of the Republican Party. And so I do think that they're trying to they're trying to walk a tight line here. I think that we're going to have to stay tuned to see if it's working.
Well, I think it's important to note that it's not just suburban white women that are concerned about healthcare and the economy. You know, our polling is showing that in particular, COVID-19 is the top concern for all Americans right now. And what we know is that Americans tend to vote for the candidate that they feel is best on the main issue. And right now, our polling shows that Joe Biden is seen by more Americans as having the best plan to help the nation recover for the coronavirus. And so it's interesting to me that when you look at the past 4 nights, when you look at the convention, there was a big focus to highlight all of the good things that the president and Republicans have done around COVID-19, obviously understanding that it is an issue that they do need to address, but kind of pitting that against the narrative, you know, of real life where there's over 180,000 people dead. And ultimately, though, with conventions, at the end of the day, I think it's important to note that both Trump and Biden are well known, and people have clear opinions on both of them and clear opinions on the president. And, you know, it's unclear if the convention is really going to do anything to change that significantly.
I absolutely agree. COVID-19 is the number one issue for every American, every state, every demographic, no matter who we talk to. And it is very clear that Donald Trump's approval ratings of his handling of COVID-19 are very low. Even amongst Republicans, he's not doing extremely well with his handling of COVID-19. But we saw in 2016, where economy was a number one issue for so many voters, that Hillary Clinton was actually seen as stronger on the economy with many of them. And even for voters who considered the economy their number one issue, they went with Donald Trump. And so I think that's a part of what he's trying to weave together here is that while he is hoping for the moonshot miracle of a vaccine before the end of this year and hopefully before Election Day, if he's lucky, he's trying to create a very different proposition. And it's a proposition where the chaos and lawlessness that voters see him promote and are seeing on their TV screens is going to end up in their front yards. And I think that's what made the Mikulski couple one of the most effective speakers during this entire convention, because, you know, it's not enough for voters to be concerned about crime or concerned about lawlessness. They have to feel like that these issues can actually be in their front yards. And I think the Mikulskis did a good job of scaring the hell out of America with the idea that not only is crime a problem, but that Democrats will, in fact, abolish the suburbs. And I think that this could be an effective message with some parts of the coalition that he's speaking to.
I think it's important to remember, though, that with both the DNC and the RNC, convention viewers tend to be mostly from that party. Obviously, we don't have polling yet on the RNC as it just finished last night. But what we found in an ABC Ipsos poll run over the weekend after the DNC is that folks that said that they watched a lot of or some of the convention tend to be Democrats. So again, I think the question here is, who are we really speaking to in these conventions? And is it likely to shift views of a wide swath of Americans? Because I think, honestly, we just need to ask ourselves who is tuning in and how much are we likely to see changing or to see, you know, that bounce that people talk about after the fact. And I think in this case, it's if we see any bounce at all, it's probably going to be short-lived.
You know, I completely agree. Convention watchers are first of all highly informed voters. Mm-hmm. They are oftentimes very determined and decided voters, and they're likely supporters of the party that they're watching. That said, though, Donald Trump's campaign has shown an incredible efficacy carrying his message through digital platforms. And I think that a part of what we saw on display this week is an attempt to create a message and a permission structure that can be delivered to voters far beyond this convention. And we've seen this with Donald Trump's spending on issues like criminal justice reform, where he spent over $6 million on Facebook ads on criminal justice reform. That's also $6 million more than Joe Biden has spent on Facebook ads for criminal justice reform. And so I think we're going to see these speakers like Alice Johnson and Jack Brewer. I think we will see these speakers targeted to a very specific audience far beyond this convention.